Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 122 of the Hunger for the Hustle podcast. Series of special episodes, and they are coming at you with freedom and fury, which is topical. We'll get into why later. But it is my absolute pleasure to introduce my fellow co-best-selling author and my fellow co-host of the event we just had to launch the Hunger for the Hustle book at the weekend, the fabulous motivational speaker, inspirational author, and brilliant coach to groups, young people, and youth, Janet Mackay, my favorite New Yorker. I shouldn't say that. There's some other New Yorkers in the book. The fabulous Janet Mackay. How are you? Good afternoon.
Oh my gosh. I am so amazing. And it's, yes, New York meets Australia, over there down under, wherever you are right now, because I know you're traveling. And what a pleasure. What a pleasure. It has been a whirlwind since the launch this weekend, which was just incredible.
Hasn't it? And wasn't
Yes.
it a great show? Really enjoyed it. It came with a few technical snags, and actually this cool graphic that we've seen here, these are all made for that, but of course now they're being repurposed to this. And to start with, if you haven't got your copy, get your copy. Why haven't you got one? I want a good reason why, please.
Yes.
If not your address, so we can come around and see you.
That's right. We'll be knocking on your door saying, "Get the book, get the book." Hello.
No, but it was a great launch. It was a long one. You know, it was probably one of the longest live book launches in history. We should check, actually. Maybe we've set unknowingly some kind of world record for, I think it went for about 5.5, 6 hours.
Yeah, 6 hours. Yep. And there was a bunch of us that were on the whole time, and maybe took a little bit of a break here and there to get some water or something quick to eat, but we didn't want to miss anything. So we wanted to stay on the whole time.
Well, there's some of us who didn't take any breaks and were there almost 24 hours before as well. So it was an experience. I've been saying to some friends, it was probably the purest reason I've never slept for, which is completely true. You know, there was but it was, things take a lot of work, and I'm someone who and I embrace this now as I get a little bit older. I get obsessed with things. I get obsessed with things completely and wholly, and when I do, I fly all the way into them. And this is certainly one of those things that, after 2 years and after the journey of the roller coaster journey of getting it done and created, not just from the side of me writing the chapter in it, but from the side of collaborating this, editing it, and publishing it, it's been quite the journey. And I'm sure it's quite the journey for you, Janet. Your chapter, Fury to Freedom, is a fantastic chapter, holds value for many people who really, and I think there's certain chapters in there that are drawn to certain people. You know, they might be, I'm thinking of my sister's chapter, and that's certainly for young mums, mums of the first time. There's other chapters in there might be for people who have businesses kind of pertaining to them, or for people who are travelers, But your chapter, I think, has a wider scope than that. And I'm just going to leave it there, actually, and let you jump onto the rest of it. And I'd love to know kind of how long it took you and how it came about. Was it the first topic you chose and then went with?
Yeah. First of all, I have to just give you a ginormous shout out, because I know all the work that you put into putting this all together. And by far, you were just miraculous, just in the stick-to-itiveness, I call it, the ability to communicate with all of us so beautifully, so that we were all in the know. And like mother hen, father hen, that you were just, we need this, here's the deadline. And I know you had a bunch of support as well. And I think that's very important as well. Whenever you want to take any large project in life, is that you really surround yourself with those people who can be, that support for you. And all of us had different talents and different abilities to help pull it all together. But it was your vision, and you reached out to us, and said, "Would you be a part of this project?" And when Jake Fowler says, "Will you?" you jump and say yes. So I was so thrilled that I did. My chapter, From Fury to Freedom, I think does tug on a lot of heartstrings, and I think it does resonate with everyone. And being a co-host, which I, again, we'll talk about that, I know, but being a co-host as well, I did have the privilege of getting to read many of the chapters from all of our amazing authors ahead of time. And it was really cool because there was this underlying similarity between a lot of the chapters that all had to deal with purpose. And the chapter that I wrote, which is featured as chapter 2 in the book, From Fury to Freedom, is the journey of my own world, me personally, Janet Mackay, who at one point fell to my knees in my backyard and looked up at the sky after I had been out at an event at a party, and I had, had a little had some cocktails for sure. But I just there was a moment that just at that point in my life, and it wasn't that many years ago, to be honest with you, where I fell to my knees in my backyard and I looked up into the sky and I said, God, why am I here? What is my purpose in life? And that had been a question that I had had throughout my whole life, to be honest with you, Jake. This question kind of, I call it From Fury to Freedom, because it tormented me. I was in my 20s, and you go through all of these different phases of your life, and you've done X, Y, and Z, and you're like, okay, why did I do that? And what is the purpose of me doing this? And wanting to feel fulfilled. And in all the research that I've done and all the interviews that I've been doing, and where my life journey has kind of taken me over these years, and talking with so many people and interviewing so many people, is that it's been identified that people want three things. There are three most important things. If you ask anybody, what is it that you want out of your life? They're going to have three responses. The first one is that they want to be happy. The second one is that they want to feel connected, that they're a part of something. And the third one is that they want to make an impact. And as I fell to my knees that night, knowing that throughout my life, I just kept searching and searching and searching. And why am I here? There was a point of my life where I completely started at that point diving into personal development. And that was a lifesaver for me. And I totally and I truly encourage anyone, especially our youth, to have these resources available to our youth, because remember, our youth make up 40% of our population, but they do make up 100% of our future. And it's so important that we remember this, and that we give them the tools that they need in their tool belt at a much younger age, so that at 50 years old or 45, however old I was when I was on my knees in that backyard, crying up to God at that moment to ask for why I was even here, they have those tools to know how to respond to things and how to grow. We are all here on purpose, for a purpose. There's no accident, Jake, that you are who you are, and you act, react, and create and have these gifts that have purposefully been sown into your heart. I have these gifts that have purposefully been sown into my heart. And my chapter talks about how I uncovered what these gifts were throughout my life journey. And I then had learned that these gifts and these things that just were natural for me, Janet Mackay, were my superpowers. And when I really tuned in, turned on, and tapped into what those gifts were and started using them for what they were meant for me to use them for, everything started falling into place. I found my lane. I unveiled and I was open to receive a very dynamic message. And that's how the power of the drip was downloaded to me. Now, I had been working with the youth sector for many years. I ran large scale summer camps, and I had the privilege of getting to work with our youth sector. And I had gone to school. I went to school in Boston and got a teaching degree for elementary education. I've always loved working with kids, and I figured that was my passion. That was my purpose, right? Well, maybe. I then went on for a master's degree in business. Thought maybe that would be where my purpose would lie. maybe. And then I put the two together, ironically. Did I ever think that I would run children's summer camps? No. But again, when you start listening to the direction that you're supposed to go in, you'll be going in the right direction. So we were able to marry those two things together, my education with children and then my business, so that I could run these programs. And the ironic thing is that I was always that person growing up where I always seemed like I had everything all together. Janet was always the happy one. Janet was always the one that could change the environment wherever I was, from crappy to happy. I was successful in the key terms of what success was. I graduated cum laude. From my undergrad degree, I got these amazing job opportunities. I got to travel on business, and I got to see many parts of the United States. There's still places around the world that I would love to go. So maybe Australia will be one of them, Jake. But I was
Maybe.
Yep, I was constantly just, searching and searching, and was I doing enough, and did I matter, and who is Janet Mackay, and why am I supposed to be here? And it really kind of happened when I stopped searching and I started being. And by being, what I mean by that is that doing good things for great people. And a download occurred at camp one summer after swimming in 400 pounds of spaghetti. So you'll to find out more on what happened, but a download occurred to me at that point that each and every one of us has a dutiful reason and purpose for being, and that is for the service of others. And once you stop thinking that that life is about you and what am I here for to do, and you start using what you have for others, your purpose completely unfolds. You realize that what you have is called the power of the drip, and that each and every one of us, if we intentionally put ourselves out there with purposeful actions and positive actions towards another human being, there will be a ripple effect that occurs that will then create a positive energy outward, ring by ring by ring. And it was that moment when I realized that the platform that I had effect of providing opportunities for other people, the campers, their families, to then realize that they too could use their purpose to do good things for great people. And then everything just started unfolding from there. We all have the power to be a drip that rips and not a drop that plops. And that has become my signature talk. It's become opportunities that have unfolded tremendously, talking with kids in schools, with other programs, with businesses, on podcasts, on Les Brown's virtual stage, which is where you and I met. I mean, the opportunities have just completely unveiled. And my passion for helping to share and help others find what lights them up inside in their belly and find their purpose is what gets me motivated each and every day. And I wake up every morning, and before I put 2 feet on the floor, I always am in gratitude. And I say, please, God, use me, use the gifts that you have purposefully sown in my heart for the service of others. And please show me how I'm to use those gifts today for the service in someone else's day. And that's how I get out of bed every single day. And I think once people start realizing that they're driven by a much higher power, and that they really truly are. You are a gift, Jake. You are a gift. You have been created to be Jake. And so many people compare themselves to other people, and that's the thief of all creativity, right? Is comparison. And we can't do that. You have your own fingerprint, you have your own thumbprint, you are just magnificent, right? And we are a masterpiece because we are all a piece of the master. And all of these things, when they just start coming together, are just so dynamic. And one of my superpowers is this incredible energy that I have at all times. I know it drives many people crazy, especially in my family, but I can't help who I am. I show up authentically. You get, Janet Mackay is who you get, and I'll walk into a room and it's like, boom! swim, let's go. Like, we are here. We got breath in our lung. Let's rock it. So, see, New
That's
York
it.
is
That's the way
starting
to
to
do.
happen now.
Yeah, well, yeah. It didn't take long, did it? I mean, it took
No.
18 and a half minutes almost before we
Oh,
got
that's it.
the
Before I
full
got
New
all,
Yorker out of you. Yeah.
yeah. And I know that I'm living in Pennsylvania right now, but you can take, the girl out of New York, but you can never take New York out of the girl. So what can
Sure.
I say? What can I say? Let's go get
I
a cup
went
of coffee.
to I went to New York for the first time this year. It is a wonderful place. It's I tell you what, it takes a lot of energy though. There's a lot of energy there. You spend you got to. I found you got to dip in and out the city. Staying in there is just a lot for me anyway.
Yeah.
But getting back to your chapter, was that the first thing? When I asked you, which was on the back of our podcast, which would have been around 2 years ago, when I asked you to take part in the book, and you said yes straight away, because you're just one of those people who, you said it earlier, you say yes and perhaps just figure. It's like I said to Eric on our show, you just jump out the plane and build the parachute on the way down. Sometimes that's the kind of people we are. We're not. It's not that we're yes people. We're opportunity seizing people. So I think you said yes straight away. But did you know straight away that was going to be what your chapter was going to be about?
You
Or
know,
did it take a bit of time to develop?
it took a little bit of time to really hone in on the message that I wanted to come across, and to really, I wanted to write something that, like you said, that would resonate with a lot of people. And so many people are truly, floundering like fish out of water. Like, why am I here? What am I doing? And this is what my family wants me to do and go to school for, but it's not really what I want to do. And when you find these things out a lot sooner in your life, it makes getting in the right path and in the right lane so much easier. So when you said, and everything is figure outable. So I tell that to my staff all the time, that don't worry about things. Everything is figure outable. We'll get through this. We'll figure it out. And that's when writing this chapter. And first, I had started and stopped a number of books throughout my life. I'm not going to lie. One of them, actually, I was putting together because I did a whole program on Facebook, 365 Days of Awesomeness. And what I was going to do was, then I was going to make a book out of these days, these inspirational days that I had posted each and every day for 365 days for the year. And so that was one of my book creations. So the opportunity to be a part of an anthology and be part of a collaborative group of amazing people that we had met through the Power Voice program, and actually get to work with them and become authors. It's such a great opportunity for people that are looking to become authors and to start their writing journey, and to collaborate with a group of people who, we did it for charity, which once that's the case, then it's, of course, it's a heck yeah. I'll say it. It's hell yeah. And so that just makes it that much more special. Writing about that, there were pieces of it where it was like, do I write this? Oh my gosh, if somebody reads it, what if my family reads this? What are they going to say? So that's when you have to kind of get over yourself, and you just have to put it out there, and you just have to be confident in what you're doing, to know that, what, when you're writing a book about kind of your own personal journey, it is personal, and you have to be prepared to know that it's not going to be perceived by by everyone in the same way. You have to be prepared that, just be authentic, and know that, it's your story, and your story is going to be different and perceived different than what my story is. But every single one of us has a story. And that was one of the things that I did with the kids in our camp. When I had found out through the power of the drip that was being created, and that I was creating, was that they too had stories. And I found out that there were these children who were doing things to change the world and make the world a better place on their own, and quickly, which I share in my chapter, which you have to get the book in order to really read the whole thing, is there is a 12-year-old girl who had found out. This one just gives me chills and goosebumps every time. A 12-year-old girl who had heard that a teacher in her district has a child that has special abilities and wanted to learn how to ride a bicycle. Well, this bicycle is an adaptive tricycle that is rather expensive. So upon hearing this 12-year-old girl gathered two friends and raised money to present this teacher with a check so that her son could get this tricycle and he could learn how to ride. Drip, ripple. And so once you start getting into putting that energy out there, these stories just started coming to me from kids and families all around the world. And I got the privilege to actually interview so many of them. So that's the quest, is that I wanted this chapter to kind of be an awakening, or the opportunity for people to think of what may feel impossible become possible. And the only way your journey can start is to start and take that step, even unknowing how you're going to do it. Because so many people wait until everything is in place before they'll do anything, and then they never start. So just start. It's the only way you'll ever know if you can get to the finish line. And it took us 2 years to put this together. And we're only just starting. Wait until the world sees what is going to happen with Hunger for the Hustle in the next 2 years, and the next book, and the next talk show, and the next this, and the next that. And to have the opportunity to co-host has been a dream, and that's something that I've been doing over the last couple of years, many years actually. So to get that question, Janet, will you co-host? MCing, being on talk shows, interviewing people is something that I truly, truly have such a passion and love for. So it's just, I mean, this whole thing has been a culmination of pure awesomeness. Just gonna say it. I talk a lot. I know. I'm from New York. I think you're on mute.
I am on mute.
There you go.
It was a natural choice to ask you to be a host. You know, and it wasn't an easy choice. I had a lot of people, anyone, frankly, who was part of the book, almost anyone. It wouldn't have been quite right for everyone, to be fair, but could have been co-host role. But I just thought there was, with me and Michael already doing it, we could have done with balancing out that feminine masculine energy, and obviously, you know, we did that. But also just I think, you know, you have obviously found your passion in life in helping others, and that, to put that as simply as possible, and that tends to lean to kids and youth. But I also think, as your life has developed, that there's and I just see it. I see you as a host role. I see it as like a talk show kind of thing. Certainly some kind of TV role. You've just got that screen appeal, Janet, and I think that it's something that we're going to see in the not too near future. I really do. But you touched on something there about the creative process for your chapter, and that's something that I also came up against, and what took me a long time to get it done, and the fear and the imposter syndrome, and that was that you pause on the parts where you're going vulnerable. You know, when you really putting yourself out there to the world. But when you realize that by being more vulnerable and being just completely honest, you actually offer more value, because you know you have to like go all the way with your story and not hold any of it back, and not go, oh, what if, you know, someone reads that, or so and so thinks that, or someone thinks this is about them, or when it's not really. You know, it's one of those pure kind of moments when you're like, this is okay for it to all be about me, and go all the way with that, and just be honest and truthful, because I think many of us are going through these struggles in life, and that's what the book is about, struggles. And it's not until we share them that we actually realize that a whole bunch of people are going through the same thing too. And that by sharing our part of that and being authentic in that we share it. You know, they say a problem shared is a problem halved. I don't know how true that always is, but it certainly feels good to get it out there. And I think it feels great to get this book out there. And you have to have gone all the way with it, like you did with your story. And but there's that, it creeps in, and you're like, it's funny though, isn't it? Because in the creative process, you think, oh, I don't know if I'd want to include that. I don't know what so and so might think, or my family might think if they read that. My friends, my associates, particularly from a business end as well. You know, we're both public people, so But once you get past it, you then don't care about it at all. Like now, I'm like, it's out there, and actually can't wait for people to read it and give me some feedback and tell me what they think. Like once
Mhm.
you let the fear go of it and get past it, it's a really liberating thing and a really enabling thing, and it takes you to new heights and new places. So, congratulations on your chapter. Congratulations on going all the way, and no doubt the value that it's going to provide. Because I know you're a value adder. It's something, of course, that you take pride in doing, in being someone that helps others, in being someone that's a coach, in being someone that is a teacher. The hosting side, let's flip onto that, because we've really only got about 12 minutes left of this fabulous podcast before we have to wrap things up. Janet's a busy lady, and I'm a busy man. So I think the hosting side of it, what's kind of, if there was a couple of three things, anyone that's watching this that is going into something hosting, maybe it's the first time, maybe it's a podcast, maybe it's a live event, maybe it's a TV show, any of the above, what are the three things that you would say to them? These are what I did, and I found really made that impact for my hosting role at the event.
That's right. I love that. Isn't it amazing how things that we've said are becoming things now? Impact. More people are talking about that. I have even like the power of the drip. I have somebody in the Philippines that is like sends me pictures of the ripples in water because they're like the drip is in the Philippines, and I mean it's just so phenomenal.
That's really funny
So
you say that. I've got a friend who's in the
mhm.
Philippines who bought a copy of the book and sent me a photo whilst he was next to a lake at the weekend, and I was like, "This thing's going international. It's in the Philippines."
Maybe it's my oh my gosh, that's phenomenal. I know. And that's why being an international bestseller, I mean, because it's so true. It's just like what happens wherever you are, we're all experiencing it because we're all part of this human world, right? We're all part of this population. So let's not diverse, Jana. Let's get stay on track. So when we talk about hosting, now I know you just had Mr. Jay Reese on the show, and you were talking about publishing a book, and so now you have this thing, and you want to promote it, and so it's so important to get on camera and start talking about it. And I do a program called Shine Online that I have to get back to. It's one of those things where it kind of took a back burner when I was going through, my move and transition over the last year and stuff. But it's helping people do just that. It's helping them shine online. And when you're writing a book, you've got to put yourself out there. If you're vulnerable enough to write a story about, especially if it's a personal story, you also now need to be your authentic self and get on camera. And to host a 6-hour event, what it takes is time management. You are in charge of moving that along. And I remember, I mean, this started my emceeing career, so to speak, started when my kids were in elementary school. And because of my energy and stage presence, I was asked to MC their talent shows for years. And I mean, you can't worry about what people are thinking about you. You just have to be you. And I would run up and down the auditorium, and I would put on funny glasses and wigs and things like that just to keep the energy flowing. But you've got to keep the energy going, and that's something that's really important when you are hosting an event. And yes, it's even more challenging when it's online because you don't have the reaction, you don't get the energy from the audience. So it's very important that you are looking into the camera, that you are making connections. Get to know those people that you are going to be introducing. You have to do your background. For example, when I was preparing for the book launch, and I knew who I was going to be introducing. John Tellerico. I mean, at the point, it might have been even Les Brown. It could have, and a bunch of these amazing authors. Is that I got to know them. I read their chapter. I pulled out a snippet of something from their chapter that hit my heart, or something that resonated with me, so that I could make that connection with the person that I was introducing. So when you are co-hosting an event, make sure that you are doing something that you're setting that person up for success. You're making them feel extremely fabulous and honored to be with you at that time. And then give them the opportunity to speak, right? Give them the opportunity. Listen to what they say. So often as speakers, we always want to be the more, keep everything going. But it's nice to give them their opportunity to shine. And you want to, as a host, you want to set them up for success. They are going to be nervous. People do not like public speaking at all. If you ask anyone what the number one fear is, they'd rather be in a burning building than get on a stage and talk to a group of people. We're in the powerhouse, we're in the speaking group. So I know for me, I would love to get on stage at Madison Square Garden and talk to 40,000 people all at once, but that's just me. So it's making those connections with people, making sure that your technology is also working well, that you've got great lighting. I have this diva light in front of me so that you can see my face. My background is purposeful. Okay. You want to make sure that if you're hosting an event that you look good, right? You don't have to, I'm not saying you have to be glamorous, but you have to make yourself look nice on camera. You have to make sure that you don't have underwear dangling in the background of your background, right? You have to make sure that everything is polished and put together. So your job as a host is also to help set those people up for success. Do a camera check ahead of time. Maybe if you have that opportunity, is to run people through what they're going to be talking about so that they're prepared. But then I also like to ask those questions that put them on the fly too sometimes, because it gets them to know you get to then help them showcase who they are as a person. So it's all about co-hosting is moving people along, because some people will start to ramble, and you want to keep moving everything along. And I know I had to do that a couple of times during the 6-hour event, because we're sitting there for 6 hours and we have to get through 28 authors plus 2 special guests. So we've got to keep moving it along. So you've got to be in charge of that and have the chutzpah to jump in and redirect a question to help get them to come to a conclusion. So those are the really important things: doing the background, getting to know your audience, preparing yourself, and having energy. You must, as a host, have energy. Because even if you're on camera, you're feeding off of that energy, and you want to make it as positive and as motivating. I mean, they are your guests. They are guests in your home at this moment, and that you are going to serve them and make them feel as special as possible, because they are there in service for you to help share their story, help them share whatever it is that they are. So always building them up so they realize the miraculous people that they truly, truly are in whatever situation you are. This is customer service 101. This is connecting with people and making them feel like they matter.
That's really it at its core, isn't it? It's making sure you touched on a lot of things there, and the technical side of it, making sure you look good, you sound good. They're just the basic importance. The listening to the listening to what's being said, and then taking parts out of that and feeding them back in to keep the energy flowing, as you said as well. But not forgetting that you are there to provide a service, and that never let what you want to say get in the way of what the audience wants to hear, and in fact the service that you're there to provide. So some fantastic hot tips. And time management, of course, moving things along, particularly when it's live, particularly when you're dealing with people who speak and they will like to speak. And if you don't jump in on them sometimes, they're going to stuff up your whole program. So you got to keep things moving, and you got to do it in a way that's polite, that's friendly, and that's it serves well in the public and the people that you're dealing
it's
with.
important to start practicing, even in life, for all aspects of your life, is to ask the right question. Ask open-ended questions so that you can start engaging your audience. So they're going to be nervous. They might not know what to say, but by the questions you are strategically asking, it helps guide them to get to where you really want them to start moving, with them becoming and showing who they are in their authentic story, in their authentic way, in their own authentic voice.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And it's funny because I actually have to move us along on this and keep us on track. I don't want you to be late for your next appointment. So let's talk about, Janet, why you think, because this show is about you, you're the guest. Why do you think Hunger for the Hustle Volume 1, sure, I'm already creating the next volume in my head. Hunger for the Hustle Volume 1, Stories of Struggles to Success, is important for the world at this time?
At this time, especially, at just coming off the pandemic has just set a trajectory of just, chaos in people's worlds and struggles in people's worlds. You hear about people having mental, upset. You hear about financial upset. And we want people to know that this book right now is the perfect launch. And it happened 2 years later because it was meant to happen at this time. If it happened earlier, it would not have the success I think this book is going to have, truly, because now people are hungry for this information. People are seeking go-to places to make them feel better, let them know that they're not alone, and give them that inspiration and that fuel to ignite them to want to make a difference, and to know that every setback is really setting you up for a very strong comeback. So this book will inspire people to know that you have it in you to hunger, to hustle, to make it happen. Yes, you have to work hard. But if you stay focused on that which inspires and lights you up from the inside, there is no holding you back. You will hear that time and time again from every story that you're going to read in this book. And there will be one story, if not two, maybe three stories that you're going to read in this book that are going to perhaps be the story that you need to hear right now in your life to completely change your life for the better. It's important. Go get this book. Go get it. You're on mute, my friend. I don't read lips.
Why not? Why not? Come on, it'll sort of be one of your
Not
many
yet.
life
I
skills.
guess, maybe at some point. Who knows?
I'm gonna show people how easy it is for them to get the book. Of course, there's the
Oh,
link
yes.
there in the description, but you just go to Google, you type in Hunger for the Hustle book. I've obviously typed in my search, so I don't even have to type the whole thing in. And here it is, the first page on Amazon. We're going to go into that. Here it is right here. Hunger for the Hustle, Volume 1, 28 Stories of Struggles to Success. Only $2.98. If you have Amazon Prime or are a member of Kindle, then you get it for absolutely nothing. We still get paid on our end. The charity still gets its proceeds in that scenario. You can look at it inside, get a few pages. So go get it, guys. Go and get it. Get onto Amazon, get it. Make an investment in not only yourself to develop yourself, better yourself, and better equip yourself for the challenges of life, but of course, to help the charity, which we haven't actually had time to touch on in
Yeah.
this episode. But Beanie's Ark is a fantastic charity that helps little ones in the world have better treatment for a very rare form of cancer. And perhaps my larger vision is that we can raise enough funds for them to actually perhaps even find a cure for this thing, because it's super rare. Only small kids get it. And as I say, proceeds from this book go towards that. So you're doing a great thing by buying it on many levels. And I just want to thank everyone who's already bought it in advance, and thank everyone who has seen this and is going to buy it off the back of it.
Yes, and this is just the start. This is the paperback's going to be coming out, and then there's a bundle where our authors each recorded their voices reading this. But get this now, because this is going to change your life, and you can read it right from this device. Which, I mean, we live on this thing, right? So why not put some good stuff into your mind and in your heart, and inspire yourself by fueling it with some of the good stuff, instead of the continuous negative news that sometimes is out there. We want you to get the good stuff.
Yeah, get it. Pull yourself away from CNN, everyone.
Yes.
Nice tip there. But yeah, well mentioned, Janet. It's out there on Kindle, of course, but you don't need a Kindle device to be able to read it. When you download it, when you buy it, you'll automatically be led to the Kindle app, which you can get on any device. It's just another app, and you can read it on that. And it's really one of those books, you might, 130 pages, 134 pages to be precise. You might read it all in one go. It's not the biggest book in the world, but you might find, I think, a lot more value in reading a chapter here and there, digesting that, seeing what you can take from it and put action into your life. So yes, it's been a wonderful thing to be a part of. We are only just getting started. It's a 3-stage rocket launch. Janet, I thank you for your participation in not only the chapter and the vulnerability that you went to, and the value that will no doubt provide inside that, but also for being a fabulous host, and for just being an all-round great person. As Michael said to you, you've been a delight and a pleasure to work with on this project throughout. So thank you for that. I much appreciate it.
It's my honor. I'm so grateful for you and your entire team from the bottom of my heart.
And so I'm grateful for the team as well. Shout out to the team. Project is nothing without its people, and you're the people that made it happen. You know who you are. Stay hungry, stay healthy, stay happy, and keep on hustling, folks. This has been another episode of the Hunger for the Hustle podcast. If you have got any value from it, give it a like, give it a share, give it a subscribe. And I'll be seeing you around this time on Friday for our next episode with another author from the book. But you'll have to tune in to find out who that is and his story then. Thanks for joining us, Janet. Thanks for being on. I appreciate you. Sending out love to everyone watching, whether it's now, live, or later. Thank you.
God bless.